Social media influencers. Lesson objectives. Discuss the views on social media influencers. Plan an article on social media influencing as a career. Write an article based on the structure and techniques we've learnt previously. MPs are calling for more protection for social media influencers and the children who follow them. The Digital Culture, Media and Sport DCMS Committee says the growth of online culture has rapidly outpaced current employment and advertising regulations. Their report details how some child influencers are at risk of exploitation. They also warn that influencers are not complying with advertising rules. DCMS Committee Chairman Julian Knight said, "If you dig below the shiny surface of what you see on screen, you will discover an altogether murkier world where both the influencers and their followers are at risk of exploitation and harm online." Lights, camera, action, in action. The committee found the market for child influencers is booming, with many young people earning income through sponsorships and brand partnerships. The report says many of these accounts on TikTok, YouTube and Instagram are being run and managed by their parents, which raised concerns that the children were being exploited to make money. Posting content about children can also affect their privacy and bring security risks, something MPs say should be addressed along with ensuring a right to erasure. But it's not just children as influencers that's a concern, it's also children as viewers. The report warns that those who are developing digital literacy are in particular danger online. Influencer content on social media is becoming an increasingly popular media genre for children, particularly on YouTube. According to Ofcom, in 2021, up to half of children said they watched vloggers or YouTube influencers. Social media influencing is becoming a popular career choice. Of the 511 British children surveyed as part of the inquiry, more than 32% said they would consider becoming an influencer. Mr. Knight continued, "The explosion in influencer activity has left the authorities playing catch-up and exposed the impotence of advertising rules and employment protections designed for a time before social media was an all-encompassing behemoth it has become today." The report held a mirror up to the problems which beset the industry, where for too long it has been a case of lights, camera, inaction. It's now up to the government to reshape the rules to keep pace with the changing digital landscape and ensure proper protections for all. Online safety. The Online Safety Bill is a landmark piece of legislation which aims to keep people safe on the internet. The government says it will encompass everything from eradicating hate speech, protecting young people from eating disorder content, clamping down on scammers, and finding the big tech firms if they fail to comply. Influencers often spend a long time producing financially lucrative content for other people without fair reward, say the MPs, noting that most work for themselves and so have uneven earnings and a lack of employment protections. Low compliance rates. Influencers are still failing to clearly label their paid for or sponsored content, according to the report. The MPs recommend more powers are given to the ASA to enforce the law. The body is currently not allowed to impose fines on those who do not comply. The ASA said, "We will consider carefully the recommendations in the DCMS committee report on influencer culture that relate to advertising." The Competition and Markets Authority told the inquiry that influencer compliance rates with UK advertising regulations are still unacceptably low. In 2020, a monitoring exercise by the ASA found that just 35% of 24,000 marketing posts on the Instagram accounts of 122 UK-based influencers were clearly labelled as adverts. Question: online influencing is a good career. Write an article for a magazine in which you explain your view on this statement. 24 marks for content and organisation and 16 for technical accuracy. Remember that a well-supported argument will stand up better to criticism. When you're doing a plan, remember that you should choose at least 3 supporting arguments for your view and at least 1 counter-argument. You don't have to completely agree or completely disagree with the topic. You can be equally distributed between the two. So maybe you'll do 2 supporting arguments and 2 counter-arguments. It really depends on what you think and whether you can justify it. Here are some techniques that you should be including in your writing. Metaphor, minor or short sentences, rhetorical questions, contrasts, like juxtaposition, emotive language, opinions and statistics, triplets, hyperbole, which means exaggeration, direct address, creating an enemy or friend group using pronouns, alliteration, complex sentences to explain, repetition, and, if you can, humour. Here is a page of the final paragraph from a previous video on paper 2 question 5 on the topic of Christmas. These are all the techniques I've managed to fit into this paragraph. As you can see, we have a counter argument, but we also have an imperative sentence, so a command and direct address to the audience, which follows a discourse marker. We have a minor sentence, a long list, semicolon, inclusive pronouns in a rhetorical question and more inclusive pronouns in this area. And we also have an exclamation mark for emphasis, and we finish by referring back to the topic, Christmas trees. Here are some useful sentence structures that you might want to use to express different things in your writing, just to give some variety. Stop the video if you want to read them a bit more slowly. Here is the question that we've addressed in this lesson today. Online influencing is a good career. Write an article for a magazine in which you explain your view on this statement. Plan. This is my plan. Is it respectable? Is it safe? Is it lucrative? Counter-argument. Is it actually a good way for someone who's not so academic to make money? Online influencing is a good career. Makeup, shoes, how to run your house. All these topics are covered by online influencers who try and make your life better. Or do they? Is social media influencing a good career? 10 years ago, I had no idea what a social media influencer was. To be honest, I thought it was probably a bit dodgy or a waste of time. I'm not sure I was wrong about that, as the industry seems to be a bit of a no man's land as far as the law is concerned. The government is currently investigating how much of the industry disobeys the laws on advertising and employment rights, and their findings are alarming, disappointing, and have implications for the future. Many influencers are failing to label their videos as adverts. This means that those who are easily influenced, such as children or vulnerable adults, may not be aware that goods, which may or may not adhere to quality standards, are being promoted for money, and that the influencer's view is not just their opinion. Find the minor sentences for impact, rhetorical questions, anecdote, semicolon, metaphor, emotive language, and triplet in the text. This could mean that they're being tricked and exploited. This means that the industry may not be viewed as legitimate and worthwhile, and possibly a bad choice for a career. This leads on to other safety concerns and a beast of a problem for both influencer and viewer safety. For example, there's little safeguarding of young influencers, who are sometimes exploited by parents for money. The government believes that they need to protect young people from radicalisation, eating disorder material, and online scammers. Would you want to participate in such an industry? On the other hand, many people can make a lot of money from this industry, using skills which are not conventionally taught in school, such as humour and the ability to liaise with companies and promote their products successfully. These are skills which can enable a person with no qualifications to earn money, pay tax, and support the economy. Do you think this could be for you? So if things don't go so well in your education, there's always the option of making your name on social media, providing you've something interesting to say, of course. Just make sure that you're following the rules, keeping safe, and being truthful with your followers. See you there. Notice emotive language, triplet, hyperbole, metaphor, more triplets, a counter-argument, a semicolon, another triplet, direct address and a rhetorical question, another triplet, and an exclamation mark for emphasis.